Howdy, man. I thought it'd be easier to do a video here. So these are my six main buildings. This one is building A. It's not even used yet, but this is my steel building, or my iron building right here. Floor one's making plates. Floor two is rods and screws. And honestly, after update 3, I kind of tore everything out, and so I don't have a lot of I've been rebuilding the infrastructure, so I'm kind of started at the ground level. So what I've been focusing on the last couple of months is building a permanent power station in the form of that nuclear facility, and working on my oil facilities, the one over there and the one way over there, and kind of tweaking my plastic usage and stuff like that. So right now you'll see a lot of these floors are actually empty right now because I just went through and tore all the machines out. And in the case of this one right here, even though I have a lot of the infrastructure in place, I just don't have connected up just yet, because I was trying to figure out how many I need for screws and how many I need for rods and so forth. So I've actually got a couple of rods going right here, just enough to feed the system for what I'm building. So this 7th building, building H here, is actually, I don't normally do this. I usually create all of my ingots and such at at wherever I find the ore. I'll give you an example. Like right there's a bunch of copper ore, and I just turn it into ingots right there, and then I transfer the ingots back. And I do the same. That's what these little conveyor systems are right here. You'll see a bunch of these buildings like this out here. There's a steel building out there, concrete facility right there, more copper, more steel, and then those all flow back and they go down underneath the complex, and that's where the loop is. So I try to always put them now. You gotta give me a lot of this just to get it working. It's pretty ugly. You'll find a bunch of kinks like this in there. I generally try to get this stuff looking nice, but right now I always go function over form. So once I get it working, then I worry about making it look good. So this is the input stack. You can see it's coming off from all that stuff that's out there, and then there's some plastic from the oil facility, and I'm also getting some copper from, oh no, that's that copper that's coming from that small facility, and then something that should be on there, but I don't know. Oh, rubber. Oh, that's right, I gotta deal with the rubber still. Like I said, I'm still in progress. So this right here is also being made, the quartz is being made on site and converted into refined quartz. It's not raw quartz. So this is the loop right here, and it's running underneath each building. Each building has a vertical axis here, like this is the it's building C, that steel building, or building D, sorry. And right now you'll see that there really isn't anything. I only have one belt coming through here, and that's because I'm actually feeding it from over here. Just I feed it directly from the building. And this is what I was mentioning, that if you can do this, if you have buildings that are adjacent like this, it's handy if you can just toss resources right from there to there. I think I had mentioned at one point that whenever I was laying this all out, I laid it down and I really liked the way it looked, but of course I didn't really take into consideration the fact that these buildings are all 8 units apart, 8 foundations apart, and of course the maximum distance that you can stretch a belt is 6 foundation units. So that was a nice little oversight. They look good with this distance and spacing, but they're more practical with this distance and spacing. So yeah, like I said, I try not to put these resources on the belt, just because, there's 5 lines right there. There's another 5 lines going just to the 2nd floor. So, and it's the same thing over here. I don't have the copper hooked up just yet, but copper will be coming from the 2nd floor. and it'll be 10 belts, I think, of 720 copper lines. So this one gives you a better idea of utilization of this vertical space. So you can see what I'm doing in here. Not only am I bringing these resources up and where they're coming from, I actually have a subfloor to keep all of these tier 1 resources out of the main base, and I just run this, as I was mentioning before, what I do with these ingots, the low-level tier 0 resources, I bring these in underneath the facility and then just run them in a straight line, and periodically I have these little houses here where I'll pull the resources out. Matter of fact, this is where I'm pulling out the steel. You can see I have I like to do load balancing. Usually I do the load balancing back where it's created, but there didn't actually, this was kind of before I really did that kind of thing, so these 4 lines weren't load balanced, so bring them in here and run them through a load balancer, and now I got 4 lines that come out nice and load balanced. So you can see they're not going onto the belt. The belt is, or the bus belt, the main bus, is generally designed for, there's some rubber on there. I bring rubber in from this other side as well. You'll see there's another input area right over here, and that's coming from, that's everything that kind of comes from the westerly direction. The same thing though, I drop it down in here and add it to the belt, or put it in with the tier 0 resources on sublevel 2 down there. So in this level, and I gotta tell you, I wish I had left myself a lot more vertical room than this. At the time it seemed like, oh, this is more than enough room, but yeah, it really isn't. I try to keep the belt system fairly well spaced out, so you'll see, I've actually, the entire thing is, I have a plan, I just haven't implemented it yet. So this entire thing is going to get torn out, and, well, it's not going to get torn out, but it'll just get added to. A lot of these are actually still Mark IV belts. I'll tell you how old that is. This was before Mark V belts when I built this. So, but yeah, you can see how I'm running all the way across the top and the bottom. I run a line, and then I have these 3 lines that I run between here, but I always leave one spot down here and then one spot up here, and that's so that I can cross over belts. I'll show you how oh yeah, well, this is a good example right here. Probably not, but yeah, like I like to do this where I drop them down, and this is fairly easy to do when you drop down to the next level by just running a new line, putting a merger on it, and then reconnecting the line, and of course putting a smart splitter on it is the way you want to do it now in experimental, so that you can take advantage of the overflow, because one of the biggest problems that you run into with these loops, and I think I mentioned this, was that if I just use a standard splitter, and I've got 720 on this line, it's going to pull 360 off this way, and it's going to run 360 off that way. So it's inefficient, and there's ways around it. I used to pull off from multiplications, or I'd have the output be a Mark I belt, so it would never get higher than 60 on the output side. But now that we have the overflow, matter of fact, I have one of those, yeah, set up right here. So right here you can see we're getting the full content of that belt going off, and nothing is running back out, and the only way it would is if this backed up, which it's not going to do, because I currently actually need more copper plate than I'm providing. But yet another one of those update 3 changes that I'm still working on fixing. So you'll notice it's getting a little busy over here, and this is my and I disconnected a lot of the stuff because it was just a spaghetti rat's nest back here. But this is my personal distribution area here, and so you can kind of see the belt loop, see it going all the way around there. Sorry it's so glitchy, but there's a lot, when you can imagine in this version. I need a better CPU, but yeah, this is just, there's not much you can do about it. So yeah, the loop goes all the way around and then consists of, right now it's 28 lines. I'll be expanding it so that it is, I think it takes up the same footprint, but now I'll have, or it's slightly larger footprint, but I'll have 40. So I think I'm adding 2 onto the side, and that's about all I can do because otherwise I'll run out of room. So yeah, once again, this is a personal storage area here, and this is where I was pulling all the lines off, trying to neaten everything up, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do it without this being just a total cluster. And then what these are. No, you don't. That's getting sucked into a drain or an air conditioner vent or something. So yeah, these are my personal. You can see I was in the middle of moving everything. Some of the things have been piled back in here, but these are the things that I hardly ever use. So I can really kind of just come back here and fill these up periodically, and then just come over and grab the oddball thing that I need. But the stuff that I use every day is up here. The stuff I use more often, you know, rods, plates, wire, cable, concrete, yada yada. So I keep all those things up there, and then that comes in and that gets pulled off of the main belt as well. And then this is my primary sorting system for right now. It starts here and goes around that way. I haven't added every material yet, but I'm getting there. With the changes after update 3, once again, it was, you know, it was one of the things I had to do, plus going through here and modifying each one of these with overflow. So yeah, in that case, what have I got? Yeah, I've got ores going one direction and ingots going the other way. So for the time being, I have these coming back into this. So the time being, they're actually just getting stored here for the most part. Some of the resources get put back onto the line. You can see that is happening right here. We can see how many of them are disconnected because I was going to go through and clean this whole thing back up. Not to mention the fact that it's actually kind of a bad place for this, because this is also where I want to be pulling off the resources to supply my personal storage. So this area is going to get inundated with crap. So this is actually buffer storage. So that's where these guys come in. They the outputs from the sort go back over here to the inputs for the buffers. And these buffers, what they do is just take resources off the line. And right now, you know, I thought more of these were working actually. I need to go back through and double. Oh, that's right. I did go through and disconnect everything and decided that I needed to redo everything, and I haven't done it. I hate this kind of stuff, so I got to be in the right mood to do it. So yeah, but basically the idea is fairly the only one that's working, the only buffer storage that's working is the iron plates. And I assure you I'll never run out of iron plates. I think I make something like, I don't even know, it's around 3,000 a minute, something like that. I make quite a few iron plates, so I don't think, yeah, that's ever going to be an issue where I need to buffer them. But yeah, I think that's a lot of the reason why I kind of stopped with this project. But my idea was that you have 8 of these storage bins, and you know, put them every, you know, periodically. It was like 8, 16, 24, 32, and just put them at random, or you know, spaced out locations, and have them provide buffer storage for the more commonly used items, plastic, iron, stuff like that. So that's the sorting, personal storage, buffering, and the belt loop. So I think that actually, oh, and then of course distribution, the way I, actually, yeah, let me go back to the, go back to the vertical spaghetti nightmare right here. So you can see I've got the raw resources coming in right here, material going out. There's a couple materials going out, but things that aren't getting used. These are actually coming in, yeah. The building those guys elsewhere, and I think I'm making turbo motors. Actually, I thought it was full of turbo motors. Oh wow, God, these things build slow. I'm only using one. I figured, yeah, I might as well just get one working, right? So I threw it back in the corner, and I'm making stators, rotors, motors, and the only other thing that I'm keeping over here is turbo motors. But generally my idea is to go, you'll notice that usually I bring the resources in along here for distribution. So these are the things that are going to get consumed, and then they'll flow out this way through the machines, and then output will come this way, and then output runs out along this side and then works its way back over here. And then usually over on this side, a good example would be, well, pretty much anywhere but here, let's say a floor where I'm using the entire floor for production. So here I'm making, God, sorry, oof, man. So here I'm making 4 belts of wire, and then I bring it over to the side, and I'm actually making, I have a small production run of cable right here, just going down the side. I need to actually put a load balancer in here, but because I've like, really don't have the room to put it in, I haven't done it yet, so I figured I'd balance it somewhere else if I needed to. It'd be a good idea. This is really the place to balance it though, because you want to be balancing, you know, on the front end, so that you know, you never, maybe you're not pulling all 4, you know, cables to the same location. So so yeah, that pretty much covers it. Sometimes I'll move resources vertically in this thing. This is my elevator, although I haven't reinstalled them yet. Terribly handy things to have, but sometimes I'll run, yeah, see, like there, I'm running some resources vertically between floors, or sometimes I'll run them like right here, sneak them up in the corners, but I'll do that rather than, you know, tying up space inside of this vertical distribution area, and so that I'm not, you know, build something, throw it down on the belt, build something, throw it down on the belt. You know, I just build lots of stuff and then keep going vertically, and you'll notice that that's a good example of that here, where I'm sending something back up vertically. You know, I haven't really, you know, built in a lot of the infrastructure yet for building, you know, multiple items, but yeah, here's something I think where I thought I was sending something up right here. I'm sorry. It's so much dismantling that I can't remember what I'm doing anymore. Oh, I don't even remember what this floor was for. Yeah, see, I didn't even finish. I think I was making, oh yeah, that's right, I was making stators for, oh yes. Wow, I did not even come close to finishing that, but yeah, that's what I've got going over here. So I'm getting the wire, I'm actually pulling that off of the line from over there, but normally really I should be pulling it in just straight from over there, because it's just right there, and that'll keep me from taking up space not only on the belt, which right now I think I'm actually pulling it off the bus belt. Yeah, I am. But rather than doing that, I would just pull it sort of like I've done over here, where I've just run a line. It doesn't look as clean when you run them like that, but it's effective. And it just kind of look like a factory when you look at it like that. So yeah, I think that that covers pretty much all my distribution stuff. If you got a question for me about it, just let me know.